This project is something that the wife saw in this issue of Woodsmith magazine. You can see it on the front cover. This is it here as well. They call it a Barndoor cabinet. It's kind of like a buffet. We're going to use it like a kitchen island. I'm going to make some modifications. Overall dimensions are 72 by 31 and 7/8 by 21 inches deep. We're going to keep it 72, but we're going to make it 37.5 inches high and 24 inches deep. So I'm going to have to make some adjustments to the cut plans in here, but that's okay too. That's what this project is going to be all about. First thing I've got to do is cut my 3/4 inch plywood into these pieces. It's kind of unfortunate, but I decided to break this video into multiple parts. Otherwise, it's going to end up being an hour or better long, and it's not going to get that many views as it is, and I don't think that would. I think that would even hamper it worse. So I'm going to break the project up into multiple videos, probably 3, but I don't know for sure because I'm not done yet. But I'm getting closer every day. So this is part 1, and other videos will be coming down the pipe as soon as I get them done. This is my heifer.
No, I'm skinny.
My heifer for this video. Actually, this is my grandson Jesse. He's been helping me prep the 4x8 sheets of plywood outside using my DeWalt worm drive circular saw. We've got all the panels cut up, the long panels for the top and bottom, and the other panels for the ends and the center. So the carcass, for by and large, is cut roughly. I've still got to do some finish cutting on the top and bottom to cut them to width. I'm gonna do that on the table saw tomorrow, and I'll do the final width of the center and end panels as well on the table saw tomorrow. So that's where we are. Stay tuned. A lot of fun. Okay, these are the end and center pieces for the carcass. This will be the top and the bottom, but then there'll be about 1.5 inches thick top on top of this cabinet when it's done. I'll make my final cuts roughly. And I've got the face up. Since the little ones are easier to handle, I'm going to run the big ones through next. These are already cut to length. That's it. Except for the rabbits and dados, the carcass pieces are milled to final size. Next I need to do the dados and the rabbits. So let me get set up for that. Okay, back to working on the carcass here. This will be the inside of the top. I'm gonna right here, top up. The top of the island is gonna go on top of here. It's gonna be about 1.5 inches thick thereabouts. So top up, so this is the inside of the carcass. Now I need to lay out my dados. Within a 32nd or 64th, this is 67 inches. What I'm gonna do, this is the inside of the bottom. And as you can tell, this piece of plywood warped. It had a little bit of warp in it when I bought it. I thought I could straighten it out. I still can. When I put it in the rabbets that I'm gonna cut on the end, it'll straighten itself out. Now I can butt this against the fence, and I know it's square. I was actually hoping that these would flatten up enough when I cut them that I could just put my straight edge on here and cut both of my dados at once. I don't think that's going to be possible. These are too wide for me to too wide this way, for me to try to put a dado stack in and keep them, because you can't run them with the fence. Well, you could, but it's better to use your miter gauge. All right, enough rambling. So let's get them laid out. All right, that's center. One down. Now we got to cut the wabbits. But it's duck season, wabbit season. Okay, now what we has to did, we need to cut a wabbit in the back. Okay, the carcass, she is a milled. I made a jig for drilling the holes for the shelf pins. I made one mistake. I forgot to take into account, when I made the jig, I forgot to take into account that I lengthened this board by 4 inches. So I cut this one too short. So to make up for that, I've got some woodworker's tape on the back. To make up for that, I just need to drill 2 more holes. So I'm gonna put this 1/4 inch carriage bolt in the hole, stick that back down, and I can take this back over to the drill press and drill these last 2 holes. And there you can see the shelf pins are going to fit just fine. Now that's the front side of one. Now I need to do the back side of the same one, and then on the center piece I'll have holes all the way through on both sides. So I'm going to get the 2 end pieces done first, and then I'll come back and do the through one. And when those are all drilled, there's no point in me showing you me standing at the drill press and doing this. Well, I may do for 1 part batch, so we'll see. New piece of tape. Put the piece in place. I use this for wood turning as well. It works great. You'll find this tape and a lot of other turning supplies and tools that I use and that I like on my website right here. I'll put a link to the particular page here and in the description, so you can go straight to that page and click on any of those items that you want. Just a quick tip if you need a longer template. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Billy, that's gonna be awfully dark. This is called weathered gray, and this is supposed to be kind of a rustic looking piece with a weathered gray look. But it is a little darker than I thought it was going to be. It's not quite so bad when you wipe it off. After it dries, I'm going to sand it with 220. I've already sanded to 220. So I'm going to cut it back with some 220. Hopefully that'll give it a somewhat distressed look, I'm hoping. We're going to find out one way or another. I've already got the top and bottom stained. Now I'm working on the internal pieces. Give it a good wipe down to get off the excess and smooth it out so that it's somewhat uniform. Now I'm going to cut the filler strips for the bottom. Before I finish milling these up and cutting them to length, I'm going to go cut the back and get that put in so that it squares it up, and then I will put the filler strips on the bottom and we'll start on the face frame. And that's how you do large pieces on the table saw. Okay, I brushed a good two coats of Deft clear semi-gloss lacquer on the inside of the back. I've got 2 coats on. I'm going to get out of here and get out of these lacquer fumes and let this dry for a few hours before I put the back on, and then I'll get back to the filler strips. Okay, I've got 2 coats of lacquer on this. It looks good, not too much, just about right. So now it's time for me to put it in place. Okay, got glue all around the rim. I'll turn this over. It's a snug fit, but it's not too snug. Hopefully, because I used my T-square, I got all of those nails into the center pieces and not off to the edge somewhere. But the back is in and it's glued around the perimeter. Now I need to finish up the filler strips. Okay, the filler strips are on the bottom. I'm going to let this lacquer finish curing overnight, and in the morning I will come out here, flip the cabinet over so that it's sitting on the filler strips with the face this way, and I'll start putting the face frame on. But before I can put the face frame on, those of you that don't know what a face frame is, it's the frame that goes on the face of the cabinet that you hang the doors on normally, or that the drawers slide up against, or in some cases are flush with. It just pretties the case up. It covers the plywood edges. So that's the face frame. I'm going to get the stock for that milled up in the morning, and this is where I'll be putting my new drum sander to the test, because these reclaimed fence boards, it's just pine fence boards. I'm going to run them through the sander, get them an even thickness all the way around. It'll pretty them up a little bit. They'll still have gray, but there'll be new wood as well, and I'm going to use these for the face frame. It will give it that rustic barn look that I'm looking for, and it will mean that I won't have to stain quite so much, because I can leave those natural if I get them down like I like them. And I've used this method before on this kind of wood to do stuff, and it's really pretty. Okay, I've got the new sander adjusted. It's nice and parallel. I've got my outfeed roller set up. I've got an in-feed roller set up on the other side. It's on the other side of the laptop. You can't see it. So let's get at it. Okay, so that's the process. When I get them all run through and show the size that I want and the look that I want, I will start milling up the pieces for the face frame. You've seen the process. And I hear the question, Billy, you've got a planer. Why aren't you using your planer to do all of that? Two reasons. Number one, this is reclaimed wood. The belts, the sandpaper on the drum is cheaper than planer blades. If I missed a nail, the sandpaper doesn't care so much. That's the main reason. The other reason is I get more control out of my sander for the look that I want. Okay, now I'm working on the face frame. A trick I learned years ago from an old cabinet maker was if you're gluing frames and stiles and rails to the front of a piece of plywood, give it a skim coat of glue. So I've done that on both of these sides. You give it a skim coat because plywood is largely end-grain, and if you've ever tried gluing end-grain together, you know it doesn't work real well. But one of the things that helps is to pre-apply glue and let it set for a little bit, because it will penetrate the fibers of the wood and soak in. And after you let it set for 4 or 5 minutes, then go in and apply your glue to your piece and put it in. So that's what we're going to do now. I could just glue this and clamp it and not have to worry about putting finish nails in it and filling the holes, but I'm kind of anal about stuff like that. This isn't I'm not making this to sell. It is not what I would consider a fine piece of furniture, although it will be very, very nice. And it is and will be an heirloom. Well, I say it is. It will be an heirloom piece. One of my kids will end up with it because they're going to love it. And I got clamps that'll reach. That other piece of plywood that you saw here on the inside, there's two, one on each side, or two on each side, is the screw blocks for the drawer glides. They're glued in place, and I nailed them just so the nails would act as clamps. Now I'll cut the top rails and the center stiles to length. I've already got them cut to width. Well, not the rails. I'm doing now is putting the clamp on here because I've got to put a pocket hole screw in here to hold this flush with the front of the face frame. And I'll put one at the bottom of this top rail on each side. Just a little extra security. Now I'll mill the bottom rail and put it on. Alright, so I've got the face frame on. It's looking pretty good. All in all, I'm really happy with it. It looks good. Yeah, there's a couple of nail holes. I've debated on whether or not to fill them. I don't think I will. I think they add character. Now I need to go order some parts. I've not ordered the drawer slides yet because I wasn't sure what size I was going to need. But before that, it's time to mow. Okay, I've got the bottom piece that goes under the frame. This will have the rail for the doors to slide in, and I've already got that slot cut for the rail, and I've got the 45s cut on the end. Now I need to put some glue on this and take it over and install it. This is one of those times when an extra set of hands would be really, really nice, but I don't have that this morning. You do what you can. That's in place, and I hope it's where I wanted it. Looks good there, looks good there. That should work. Now I'll cut the 45s on these pieces. We go out here on the end. Okay, good. I didn't miss and go through on the inside anywhere. That's a good thing. Okay, the bottom frame is on. It's all nice and square. I'll get my grandson to come out here and help me flip it over, and I can start working on hanging the doors and stuff. So thanks for watching part one. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your patience and sticking with me through no turning and this long project, but it's just something that's got to be done. I do have a turning project coming up. It's a collaboration with Indiana Jones. It'll be coming up in the next week or so, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And I'll try to get, as I'm waiting on glue to dry and things of that nature, I'll try to get more turning out. So with that said, you know the drill. Please like, subscribe, share if you're so inclined. All that really helps us out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, good or bad. I mean, I got thick skin. I'm not too worried about it. And I mean, if you like it, that's fantastic. If you don't like it, you don't give me a thumbs down, fine. But tell me why. What could I have done to improve? That sort of stuff. So, other than not rambling and talking too much, because I can't help that. Again, I really appreciate it. Any help that is provided to the Messy Studio is always appreciated. If you are interested in some of the stuff that I use, whether it be for my turnings or other woodworking tools, this link right here is down in the description. That website, that's my website, and that will show you some of the stuff that I use and where I get it. And of course, you can always go here to my website and buy some of the stuff that I've turned or swag, t-shirts, coffee mugs, caps, that sort of stuff. All of that is always appreciated. Thank you so very much. Remember, live, laugh, love. Y'all come back.